You're watching SBoyTV.
Who we got on the backdrop right now, man? Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
So my name is Payge. I am an erotic poet. I'm also a model and a photographer, as well as an adult sex and kink educator. So I have a brand called Peaches and Kink, under which I publish poetry as well as do like adult sex and kink education workshops.
Okay. So how did you get into that?
Wow, that's a really good question. I started out in education. I have a degree in secondary education and then a master's in education. And I actually taught 8th grade for a while. And it was great, except for teaching sucks. Being a teacher sucks. Kids are great. Being a teacher sucks. So I quit. And I like immediately did a complete 180 with my life and decided to become an erotic artist, which is like the exact opposite end of what I could imagine in the world from a middle school teacher.
Right.
And I joined Free Body, which is an organization of erotic artists where we just kind of like uplift each other through networks of support and, supporting each other's art. We also threw erotic events there for a while. And in doing all of that, I kind of realized that there's a lot of education missing amongst adults when it comes to things like sex and relationships and kink. So now my two minds are coming together and I'm like designing adult like experiences where we could talk about all of the freaky shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I know it's been a wild ride, but here we are.
Yeah. So cause when I was in middle school, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I was trying to find my teacher pages. Have they followed your page?
Oh, absolutely not. My
Okay.
life, no, they're completely separate. My middle school teacher life is under my government name, and in a completely different city.
Okay.
I definitely like moved communities on purpose. I don't have I have like a double life, I feel like sometimes, just because I do keep the world completely separate. At this point, I've been out long enough that most of my former students are like adults.
Mhm.
So it's like, people going to be on the internet. So whatever, if they find me, whatever.
Right.
But I'll probably block anyone if they do end up finding me, if I'm being completely honest.
Man,
So,
that's funny right there. That I definitely didn't expect that because I seen educator in your bio. I didn't know exactly what angle you was taking.
absolutely.
That's dope. That's dope. Okay, so back to your teaching days. You said it sucks, right? Not the students, but I want you to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, why teaching sucks?
Yes.
Because you're in a system where you have almost no resources, next to no resources. You're getting paid next to no money. You have no autonomy in the decisions you make in your own space. And the very purpose of your job is like being pushed, like people are actively working against the purpose of your job daily, whether it's in like the political sphere or just like the parents. And like, you just get shit on by everyone. Like everybody hates teachers. Like, think about the cultural representations of teachers and how like, old and like mean they are and everybody hates school and all that shit. And it's like, damn, I'm out here where I can't even pay my bills. I'm out here working for these kids.
Right.
And you're just like caught in this abusive system. And so it was not. And at the end of the day, once COVID happened and like everything went virtual, I knew it was going to get harder, even harder.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, nah, I'm out.
I feel you. Dang, I feel bad a little bit.
Yeah, dude, it sucks out here for teachers because really we're all in it because we just love the kids and we want them to thrive.
Yeah.
But like everybody is like, no, new rules, new standards, less money. And it's just like,
Yeah, I definitely didn't fully appreciate my teachers like I should have until I graduated. And that's where it sucks because I put them through a lot.
yeah.
I was one of them students, so I apologize. All right, so what was life like growing up for you?
Repressed.
Mm.
Yeah, erotic art is very the opposite end of what anybody would have wanted for me growing up. I grew up in a really just like traditional family in the sense of like gender roles specifically. And I just like repressed a lot of my weirdness that I have always wanted to, I like really liked being on stage, but I came from a family where like women were supposed to kind of be seen and not heard. So it's just like I spent a lot of time being that like smart girl teacher role. And I guess being Peach and like being on stage now and like doing my erotic poetry out loud in public is like the exact opposite of like what my childhood had tried to keep me in.
Yeah. So what was the response from your family like when you first hit them with that
Ooh,
poetry style?
most of them still don't know.
Okay. Is that like, are you hiding it from them?
No,
or?
not necessarily. They have the ability to like use the internet like anyone else. The parts of my family that don't know are people that I'm like really not that close with anyway. I have like my sister I'm still super close to. She knows all about Peach. She has seen, my performances and read my book and all the things. And is just like proud of me because I'm like doing me.
Okay.
And a lot of people are like, because like I get on stage and like talk about my pussy, and a lot of people are always like, "Oh my God, you're so brave. I could never do that."
Yeah.
So I think some people kind of like admire it a little bit because I say a lot of like things out loud that a lot of women don't say, or don't even like feel like they have space to talk about. So I get that reaction a lot.
No, I feel you. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
It could be shocking to people, but
Yeah.
we are like.
That's kind of part of the fun, though.
Yeah.
I am a shocking person. I've never not been a shocking person. Like I have a big personality. I have a loud voice. Even as a kid, I drew attention to myself. People are gonna stare. People are gonna judge me regardless. So like, I might as well talk about what I want to talk about and like be who the fuck I want to be.
That's real. Hey, that's a bar you just shared right
Yep.
there.
And that's Peach.
Yeah. I see that you are a big advocate for autism awareness.
Yes.
I want to touch on that. When did that begin for you?
Okay, so I have always been different my entire life. And that was like kind of part of my repression is like I was masking for a really long time because my like obvious differences from my family members and my peers resulted in a lot of abuse and bullying. And then it was literally within the last 2 years, maybe, I started seeing a therapist. And she was like, "Has anyone ever thought you might be autistic?" And when she said that, it was like my life flashed before my eyes in this big, like, cascade of dominoes. And all of a sudden, everything made sense. And I sought out testing, and then I did a lot of research, and I got to understand my mind. And what I've really come to realize is I never got diagnosed autistic because the way most of us have been taught what autism is this very othering experience. And frankly, when you're sitting in school and you hear about what being autistic is, you're sitting there like, I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do everything I can to make it seem like I'm not that. And frankly, I came from a household where like they didn't really celebrate differences. So like it just was, easy to just kind of like repress it all. But once I realized that being autistic is me and I'm autistic, it really changed. It like kind of broke open the world for me. Because now I understand autism as neurodiversity in the sense that like we know that every human being is different when it comes to like race and like physical outward characteristics, as well as like, talents, skills. We also have different brains. Like every individual human being, our brain chemistry is different. So like what being autistic means is I just process sensory stimuli different. And my brain, the way I react and process is just like a different organization than like the majority of human beings. And what I've come to find out through research is that every human being on earth has autistic traits. It's just the degree to which you have them that makes it hard to operate in society and therefore makes you autistic. So most people really identify when I like talk about being autistic, a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, that actually sounds true for me too." Well, yeah, because you're a human being and these are things human beings have.
Right.
It's just ramped up to like 400% for me. So it can be like really debilitating some days. And it's just like something I have to cope with that like people don't understand. So I like to talk about it a lot because I find that we don't need to other people because they're different. And that seems really simple, but we do it to autistic people specifically to the very point where people like me go our whole life without help.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be seen as autistic.
Wow. Was it a process for you to have to accept it first?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it's because of the stigma. The way we see autism as a disability is really actually tragic, and we kind of like live, eat, and breathe this ableism without realizing we do it. So for instance, Autism Speaks is like one of the biggest, most well-funded like autism organizations, when actually they promote a vision of autism as if it's like a cognitive impairment, as if it's a full disability, as if autistic people like are not normal and do not have the ability to survive in a normal environment. They promote ABA therapy, which is widely used for autistic kids. And ABA therapy is essentially like training kids like dogs out of their autistic behaviors by using reward and punishments in order to try to just get them to act normal. When we like know through research that like autism is just like if you allow them different arenas or different paths to the same solution, they can often do just as fine as what we would consider a normal student. But the main narrative around autism is still this like really negative, really othering thing, as well as like we have foundations that spread those stigmas and make money off of it. So when I first found out, I feel like I went through a depression. I was like, I really felt disabled. I really felt like there was a lot of things wrong with me. I felt like I looked back on some abuse and felt like I deserved it. Like trauma shit, you know what I mean? I started noticing the ableism in the world around me, and it was really overwhelming. And honestly, tweeting about it and like talking about it in social media and like being hot and autistic and like using that hashtag is kind of what helped me like normalize it and like feel empowered. So Peach, I guess, like unintentionally became like a platform for that as well.
That's really a way to use your pain. You know what I'm
Hell
saying? That's really a dope way to use it. Hate that you got to go through that though. Seriously. Whew, that was heavy. That was heavy. Right
I
there.
know. I will talk about anything, so I'll take you there.
So going through that, what has that taught you about people?
Oh my God. The only thing I know to be true is that every single human being is a nuanced individual, meaning every human being has their own set of needs, their own set of likes, their own set of dislikes, and that anytime we generalize anything, we are wrong. And that oftentimes when we live in a world where we're so scared to be different because we're so mean to people that are different that we feel this need to like change ourselves to meet some sort of status quo. And I look around and I see people really stressed out by it all the time. And what I've really realized is when you meet someone and you immediately humanize them as, I don't expect you to be anything based on anything. I just know that you are a complex human being and I'm going to get to know you. Then all of a sudden, all of this opportunity like opens up for building in your relationship. And that right there, understanding neurodiversity, understanding the fact that every brain is different has enabled me to build relationships that have like pushed my art in so many directions. It's why I do Peaches and Kink now. It's why I have workshops. I have so many, Payge is one of my best friends. And if like, I would never have met her had I not really like embraced this idea that like, I want to meet as many different people as possible and like just get to know them as humans and love them for who they are, even though we're different.
Wow.
Yeah.
To me, I think you could be a therapist. Like, I know it's like a full circle moment from here. Like, you went to a therapy session, you found some things out about you, but the journey you took is like, now you're in that position.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that a lot. People say that to me. People tell me I'm inspiring all the time. I don't ever try to be inspiring. I just literally can't not talk about this shit because not talking about this shit almost killed me, right? Like that repression, that like not talking about my problems, acting like everything's cool when it absolutely is not, pretending like I'm like everyone else, that I attempted suicide twice before I turned 30. So that literally almost killed me. And so now I don't know if it's inspiring to people. I don't know if it's off-putting to people, but like I got to talk about this shit out loud because like it's my truth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just do like a silent moment right quick. Just because it's heavy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I feel it.
So when it comes to going into the art with it, right?
Yeah.
Was there ever a time that you didn't feel like you would be accepted here?
Yes, actually. I worried a lot in general in like being public with my art for so many reasons.
Mhm.
I worry a lot about stigmatization in because of my autism, as well as because of the erotic aspect. As well as the fact that I was really conscious of the fact that like I was an outsider coming into Detroit.
Mm.
I grew up in the suburbs. I'm a suburb kid, and I'm also white. And with all of that comes so much privilege and such like a different perspective on the world that like I knew was going to limit my ability to actually like be an artist in this city. And with all of that, I kind of approached working in Detroit kind of with those, like I thought it through, and um, I just kind of kept those things in mind. And what I ended up doing is taking on that relational like perspective of like really seeing the value in each individual around me, and like put it into my art and like networking. And I became part of an incredible community that has continued to create bigger and different iterations of this community, that has been really mutually beneficial for all of us. And I've fallen in love with Detroit, and I've moved here, and a lot of people in Detroit have fallen in love with me and embraced me, and I feel grateful for it every single day,
Yeah.
because my art is like flourishing here. Like I would hopeful it would be, because this is such an incredible city for the arts. And yeah, I've never felt othered. And I've said a lot of things in a lot of spaces that I could have put a lot of people off, and people have been really awesome to me. And I hope that it's just because, I mean, I'm sure that it's just because I have some people that in the city that like really love me and have welcomed me in, and I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah, a lot of times people lack confidence.
Yeah.
People lack like the bravery to have like a voice in a room. So when you sharing things that a lot of people feel but they can't say,
Yeah.
it's just like it's inspiring. So
Yeah.
who are some people that inspire you?
Ooh. K-Bay is my first shout out. Detroit's Beyonce
Mhm.
at K-Bay Music on Instagram. She's the most talented rapper I've ever met in real life. And there's a lot of talented rappers in Detroit. And she's also like incredibly intelligent and incredibly wise. And I've never left like every time I leave a conversation with K-Bay, I feel like I have my shit together. Whether it's like just listening to her talk about her goals and like me like collaborating on and watching her shine, or like her giving me advice, she's always been there for me. And just like inspired me to have so much confidence and like keep doing myself. So I have to shout her out first. And then really, every artist I've ever seen perform at an open mic in Detroit
Mm.
is an inspiration. This city is really hardcore, and we don't like love people who aren't talented. Like it's not that there's no fake shit. Right?
Yeah.
You'll know,
Yeah.
and you'll get the feedback, and it's been such an amazing experience to watch people humbly just perform their art in front of. I think I was going to open mics and just watching performances for almost a full year before I was brave enough to like get out there and do it myself. And it's just like seeing whether it's spoken word, whether it's rap, whether it's singing or playing a live instrument, just like being able to get out on stage in front of whatever crowd and do it, is inspiring every time anyone does it.
Wow. See, usually when I ask that question, people say like Beyonce, Drake, Rihanna, J.
I don't
Cole.
know those people.
That's why it was refreshing for you to hear, like to hear
So
you say that.
autism, right?
Yeah.
So an interesting thing about autism is like I can only humanize humans.
Mm.
Like I don't humanize celebrities like that. I never met them.
Mm.
But like if I meet you in person and I can like meet your soul like this, like you are human to me, and
Yeah.
like I'll get to know you from a very human perspective. It's really opposite from the way like most people are oriented. It's just autism.
That's real. That's real, man. You own it. You own
I mean, like Beyonce's dope as hell, but like she ain't never called me back. So
it. Right. I like that. I like that. All right. So what advice would you give to up and coming artists that are struggling to be themselves?
Ooh, take time to rest. Take time to reflect, and like get people around you who you trust and like listen to their feedback. I feel like every 3 months I go through an identity crisis and I like kind of strip things down and I push in different directions and I weed out what's not aligned. And it can be really discouraging because, you know, some things just don't work out. And then like you just feel sometimes after a few months, you don't feel attached to your art the same way. But when you have people around you that like actually you like really trust, it's the thing that keeps you going at the end of the day. It's that community.
Yeah, that's real. All right. That was your therapist moment right there. All right, so what can we expect from you for the rest of this year?
Ooh, I'm trying to live my life a little bit, to be honest.
What does that mean for you? Let's
Yeah.
see.
So I spent a lot of this year doing adult shit. I like sold a house and bought a house, which is like dope, but like really adulty.
Yes.
And also started a new job. I also lost my grandmother. So it's been like a really intense year, just like personally. And I planned hopefully to do some more like sex ed workshops by the end of the year, but I just like can't push myself. So I'm trying to be outside. I'm trying to go to events. I'm trying to perform more. I'm trying to peddle my book. Please buy my book. I'm also trying to just like have experiences. I want to see more artists in Detroit.
Yeah.
Especially. I want to travel more. I want to like do some fuck shit that'll like give me stuff to write about and inspire me for more poetry. So I'm hoping to just like network. I'm going to be out. I'm going to be around. So I hope to meet people and like collaborate and start new things.
Yeah, it's perfect timing because Payge got the hot girl summer in the back behind her.
Yes.
So that's perfect. All right. So lastly, man, before you go, can you tell the people where they can follow you at so they can stay connected with you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Peaches and Kink, Peaches _and_kink. And you can also follow me on Twitter, same handle.
Yeah. Peach, we out.